Welcome back. The Senate races in Georgia have now become national elections because control of the Senate hinges on their outcomes. Democrats are spending millions to flip 2 Republican seats. Will it pay off? That's the big question. Joining me now to break down where those races stand and which party stands a chance, pollster Justin Wallin. It's good to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so here's where things stand right now. As you can see, the ballots of power. Obviously, Republicans need that 1 seat to be able to keep hold of the Senate. So I guess general question before we break it down is, do you think that they can do that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's easy to look at this and think that this is a real challenge for Republicans and things are sliding away from Republicans in the Senate. But keep in mind, before Election Day, there was supposed to be a blue wave in the Senate. So now we have, at best, a situation where Democrats can capture a divided Senate and divide control. But I think for at least one of these races, the other one is very difficult to tell. Both of them are difficult. It's almost in many ways throwing the dice. But I think in one of these races, gravity tends to flow Republican. We'll find out in January.
Okay, so let's go ahead and break these down now. Starting off with the runoff candidates here. You can see these are all the candidates. We'll break it down starting with Raphael Warnock and Kelly Loeffler. And as you can see right now, these are the results here. And as you can see, Warnock did end up on top with this one. But you look at the latest poll, and look, I know people aren't trusting polls right now, but this is the one that's out there. This is the Remington Research Group from November 8th through 9th. And as you can see, this one is pretty neck and neck at this point.
Yeah, they are. So there's a couple ways to look at the race here. And of course, in Georgia, the interesting thing about the polls coming into the general election were they were pretty much accurate. So they weren't off. We shouldn't look at them with such a jaundiced eye. The natural thing to do is to look at how the general election actually turned out for those two candidates. You can see what appears to be an advantage for Warnock, but that election was an election with 20 different candidates, including 2 Republicans who were at each other's throats the entire time. So now one of those Republicans has endorsed the other. The Remington Research most recent polling shows that the race is too close to call. I think that is accurate. It's going to be interesting as that Republican Loeffler starts to focus more on the Democratic candidate Warnock. Will Warnock be able to sustain real negative hits, which emerged largely unscathed in the general? That has yet to be told.
Right, and now the other one is obviously David Perdue and Jon Ossoff. People have been paying a lot of attention to that as well. Do you think that this one is going to be close?
I do. I don't think there's any way that it can't be. And you know, and specials generally favor Republicans. Republicans are more reliable voters, but that traditional kind of totem I don't think we can necessarily rely on because it's going to be so much attention on Georgia, so much money spent both in messaging and turnout. I think turnout's just going to be remarkably high. But Perdue has a slight 2-point advantage walking out of the general. That was a 3-way race with the Libertarian. Libertarians siphon off more votes from Republicans than Democratic voters. The latest polling, again, it's one poll. We have to take it with a grain of salt. Shows a 4-point lead on behalf of Perdue, the Republican. That's outside the margin of error. I think gravity, and again, this is too close to call. I am rolling the dice. But I think gravity flows Republican in this one. And I think at least we're going to see a 51 come the end of January.
Okay, and as you can see that poll here that you mentioned, the 4-point difference, you know, we'll continue to follow these, Justin Wallin, and it's going to be interesting to see the enthusiasm from both sides and what that ends up, or what factor that ends up playing in all of this. So we'll be having this conversation again before January 5th. Thanks for joining us. Carly.
Thanks for having me.